Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that his mom will not ever see our children? Am I the a-hole for making my daughter-in-law cry? Am I the a-hole for getting my wife a lockbox to keep her makeup because my daughter refused to stop taking it? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that his mom will not ever see our children? I, female 25, Asian, have been with my fiancé, male 27, white, for over a year now. His mom has been overbearing since day one. For example, the first time I met her, she asked me if I am pleasing her son enough sexually and wanted to know how many times/week I am making him finish. She also always calls him sexy and asks him to touch his arms or abs, which he doesn't think is weird, but that's a story for a different day. I just want readers to understand the kinds of things she says out loud. She has lately, the past 2 months, been more hostile toward me whenever we are around her, saying that I am getting in the way of her relationship with her son, and that I need to let him be alone with her more. My fiancé tells her that he wants to spend time with me when he's not working, so she can either see both of us or neither of us. This last time we saw her, we were eating dinner at her house with her new husband and my fiancé's brothers when out of nowhere she said, "I hope your children look only like their dad." This was out of nowhere, but that's how she always is. I said, "Well, we aren't going to be having kids anytime soon, so you don't need to worry about that," to which she replied, "Well, I don't want biracial grandkids because they're always so ugly when features are mixed together like that." Everyone got quiet, and I didn't even know what to say. Eventually she got up and offered everyone dessert. Soon after we left, and in the car I expressed to my fiancé that I was hurt by what she said and the fact that he didn't stand up for me. He said he didn't want to hurt her feelings, and that she didn't mean it to be hurtful. I told him that if we do have children that she will never be able to see them, or be around them, because I don't want our future kids to be around someone like that. He's mad at me now and keeps telling me that I need to see things from her perspective, and that it's unfair that I would put him in a position like that by not letting her see our kids one day. I told him that it doesn't really matter right now, but that I will not budge on this when the time comes. Am I the a-hole for making my daughter-in-law cry? My son and daughter-in-law had their twins last year. They didn't want to put them in daycare and asked me if I could watch them. I've been doing childcare my whole adult life, as a nanny. At the time, I had a well-paying nanny job. My son and daughter-in-law couldn't afford to pay me as much, but I didn't mind as they're my grandkids, and I love them. I'd do it for free, but I have to pay my bills. I did make sure multiple times that this was going to be permanent. I was quitting a good job for this, and I didn't want to have to scramble last minute. They swore up and down that it'd be until they were 3. I agreed, and I've had so much fun watching them this past year. They're now 18 months old. I've started to teach them colors, ABCs, etc. We go to play groups so they can be with kids their age. My son and DIL sat me down last week saying they feel more comfortable with daycare. After doing research, they feel it's best they're in daycare now. They've already found one and gave me 2 weeks' notice. I was upset. They promised me 3 years of work, and now I have to scramble to find a new job that'll pay as well as my last one. I said all of this, and they said it wasn't fair for me to expect them to keep to that. I pointed out what this would do financially to me, and they said they had to think of themselves. They're paying the daycare more, but it's worth it. I said now I don't know how I'll pay my bills, including my son's student loans that I pay. I left shortly after. My son says his wife cried, and I shouldn't have guilt them about this. He said bringing up the money was manipulative. Am I the a-hole for getting my wife a lockbox to keep her makeup because my daughter refused to stop taking it? I married my current wife Barbara, 38, 2 years ago. She and my daughter Molly, 16, get along well. They have lots of interests in common, including makeup. Molly loves makeup, especially the more expensive stuff. She unfortunately cannot afford expensive brands because of money, and so she started taking my wife's makeup. My wife works as a nurse and has experience with makeup brands that she says are the best. She buys her own makeup, which in my opinion is expensive compared to what Molly has. My wife wasn't okay with Molly taking her makeup and brushes and damaging them, but didn't want to say anything out of politeness. This went on for 2 months. Molly has so far cost my wife money replacing expensive makeup that she kept taking without even asking. I of course had many conversations with Molly about it, and her argument is always that women can share makeup, and besides this is family and her stepmom is like a matcher to her, so why not take each other's stuff? I told her to stop and at least ask her stepmom before taking anything from the bedroom. She just shrugged and walked away. Days ago my wife told me Molly took a whole set of makeup products and hasn't returned it, then said she threw it away when asked about it. I was mad for my wife since she said she can't tell Molly how upset she was and will just go buy replacement. I went out and bought my wife a lockbox and suggested she store her makeup there, and she agreed. I sat with Molly and told her she was punished for what she did, and she happily took the punishment, but threw a temper tantrum after I told her that I got my wife a lockbox to keep her makeup and how sad I was things had to come to that. She said I don't understand and that it's logical and not weird to use her mother's makeup products, but I argued that it is unacceptable, and just because my wife said nothing doesn't mean what Molly was doing was okay. She started crying, saying I know that she cannot afford the makeup she used from her stepmom, and that her stepmom can afford it, and now I'm forcing her to go back to using cheap makeup that damages her skin. She called me mean and selfish to do that instead of encouraging her shared interest in makeup with her stepmom.